Hey there, Internet. I'm here for you guys today making a tutorial on how to do the synth solo in Skrillex's song With You Friends, Long Drive. I've always really liked that synth solo. It reminded me of songs I listened to growing up, like Lucky Man, things like that. It has really big sticks, maybe even like Bach feel to it. It's really sweet solo. So anyways, I sat down the other day and I made it, and actually from start to finish, transcribing the song and making the synth to go along with it only took me about an hour and a half, but hopefully I can get this to you guys in about 10 minutes. So here's the MIDI file. Yeah, I can send this to you guys if you now input the notes. I will say that it's in the key of D and that the chords he uses are really simple. It's just G major, A major, B minor, back to A major, back to G. It's just a really simple progression. Actually, here, let's listen to the part of the song with the solo first. I just loaded it up into Ableton and looped it around the solo section, and so the solo sounds like this. Yep, so there you go. Big, huge saw lead sound. You know, a lot of Skrillex-y, slidey stuff going on there, like I said. You know, huge, fast runs. Sounds very Bach in my opinion, like almost organy. But here we go. So if we take a look here, here's the synth that I had created, and here's what my rendition of it sounds like. Let me click this back on. I can hear them both playing. I'll solo my synth for a second. So pretty similar. I mean, his does it morphs timbre over time, and that was pretty much the only thing I couldn't figure out is how he morphed the timbre. But here is the synth I made. I used Sylenth. This is a skin I have for Sylenth by Nima. It's pretty nice. I like it. I mean, I like the original Sylenth too. I just kind of like how this one looks. Very futuristic. So anyways, here it is. You guys, I mean, you can pause it and take a look, but I will now, here, if you let me duplicate the track, I'll just build it for you guys from the ground up. Let me get on this track, just get that playing, take this off. Okay, now I'll just kill these for a second. These are just something I added after the synth was done to beef up the sound a little bit. Good sound design sort of stuff. Alright, so here we are back here. Let me mute this track too. There we go. So this one's playing. Just start it over, initialize the preset. There we go. Here's our bare bones sound. Just a saw wave playing, one saw wave, one voice. Alright, first thing we're going to do is crank ourselves up to 8 voices. Now you can already hear that start sounding huge. And where more of this comes from, for detuning, slightly offsetting the voices of the synth from each other by a couple hertz, something like that. Just gives it this kind of chorusy, phasey effect I like. And actually that's all we're going to do for the first voice, is just detune it a little bit and crank up the voices. Oh, I like to take retrigger off of these things just because I like the waveform. Kind of sounds more natural that way. Alright, then we're coming over to Oscillator 2, taking off retrigger. Gonna initialize it by throwing on 8 more voices. Changing the wave to a saw. And this one, we're gonna crank up an octave. There you go. And we're also going to, there we go, put it up 7 semitones, and what that translates to is a fifth. So basically now we got it playing a power chord. And next thing we're going to do, I like to back off the volume of this just a tad. Let the normal synth, or the main voice of the synth, breathe a little bit more. So back this off, let's take it down to about 7 or so. Yeah, that sounds okay. Now, I like to throw a little bit of phase on this one, just determining where the wave's starting. I like to throw it about at 180, just so, you know, it's the wave starting at different points. completely different from one another. This one we're going to detune as well. Not too much on this one. We'll give it about 1.5 points, nothing huge. So there's that. Now, let's go over to part B, because I want to throw another oscillator on here. Take the retrigger off right away. Voice is up to 8. This one, we're just going to stack 1 octave up. So now we have a full power chord playing just first, fifth, and then the scale degree again, the first one. I'm going to change the phase a little bit more extreme, set it at about 220 on this one. And then detune. Oh, I have it 7 voices, you need it at 8. There we go. Detune a little more extreme on this one. Gonna set it at about 2.5 points of detuning. And again, back off the volume a tad. I think we'll take it down, dude. About. That sounds good. Okay. Now, next thing I like to do is I like to come over here, and I know I just backed off the volume a bit, but I like this section of volume better for mixing than actually trying to go into the oscillators, just because it's a little easier. And I just throw this up to about 8 points or something like that. Yeah, that sounds okay. Now we're going to go to our main ADSR envelope here, and I'm just going to add a hair of attack. There we go. Barely even noticeable, but just to take off the initial edge of the sound. And a little bit of decay. See if I can get it just about 1 point. Sustain where it's at. Add just a tiny bit of release. Just taking it above 0. So now what I'm going to do is copy this envelope. Paste it over here so both parts are the same. Alright, so we're getting close. It still sounds sort of static. And what we have to do is we have to add in a little bit of filtering and a little bit of modulation on the filter to get that sound we're looking for. I like my synths to sound a lot like natural instruments, so what I do is this trick I picked up from here. You use a filter and you automate it a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this over to 12, click this up to a low pass filter. So there go a bunch of my frequencies already. And there go even more of my frequencies because I dropped the cutoff as much as I could. You'll see where this is going in just a second. Now I'm going to crank up a nice bit of resonance here. Probably 6.5 sounds pretty good to my ears. And now here's where a lot of character of the sound comes in. We're going to throw in some drive, which is just a little bit of extra gain on the signal as it passes through the filter. So I think I'm going to crank that to, let's see, that sounds good. Okay, now this is where that attacky bit I was telling you about comes to. We're going to take this mod envelope and we're going to route it to the cutoff filter A. I'm going to crank this all the way up. And I'm going to leave my attack of this envelope at 0. I'm going to turn the decay up quite a bit. There we go. See? So now what that's doing is that's dropping the filter over time, giving it a little bit of a pluckiness that I like in my sounds. And give it some sustain so that it holds at that level for a bit. That sounds good. And again, just because I like to, just a hair of release, or just something above 0. Now when you come in here and you modulate these filter controls, you're going to hear a lot of change as we move these around. You can get a pluckiness depending on where you stick this. Personally, I like to stick it right about, let's keep going. That sounds good, right, a little lower. Yeah, we can deal with that. Okay. And now I'm going to add a little bit of resonance too, because it's going to be modulating that. It's not modulating the resonance, but I like to add just a little bit of a boost. That sounds pretty good. Key tracking, meh, that's fine. Another thing that I tried to do to capture that timbral morphing, this other little source to velocity, and I put in volume A and B is what they're modulating. I did a negative routing here so that when I increased velocity, volume A would drop, and then a positive routing here so that it would go a little higher. And if you look at my MIDI file that I have created here, see I drew in a little bit of automation. I stopped over here because I don't think it really worked, but who knows. Anyways, back to the synth. Now the last thing we have to do in the synth, besides I'm just going to level it up a little bit right here. That's nice. Last thing you have to do is you have to add some portamento to get the really slidey, Skrillexy character. So what we're going to do is we're going to flick this to a slide mode so that it slides between notes. You can already hear that kind of working. But playing with your time here is really what's going to give you your timbre that you're looking for. So, as we hear, I increase that. There we go. Now it's got that really squeakiness as it slides between notes. And that's actually all we're going to do for that. Make sure I got everything set up nice. Yeah, sounds good to me. So now, we've got to beef up the sound just a little bit more, so I'm going to close this real quick. And these are just some effects that I had set up beforehand. You guys can take a look at these and set them up. I just threw on an overdrive. Really brings out the highs, gives it a nice mid character. A little bit of chorus, you know, thicken out any sound. I didn't like some of the high end that was in there, so I threw on this EQ to just take out the really high harshness of the sound while maintaining that squeaky character. And I threw on a compressor to just get rid of some of the extremes that happen during those slides. And that's it. So stop this for a second. I'll put that back into context. Turn this guy back on. So you can hear it's not exactly there, but yeah, it's close. I got as close as I thought I could. Granted, I only took an hour and a half to do this, so yeah, I have this file rendered as a wave. So if you guys want the synth solo as a wave, I can send it to you like that. I also have the MIDI file. Just send me an email and I'll get that to you. And if you guys ever have any requests for things that you'd like to see me try to build, drop me a line, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching.